Long ago in ancient China, Liu An, the emperor's son, set out to find the elixir of immortality. Instead, what he ended up inventing was a dessert that is loved by many. Although not much more is known about this legend, what we do know is that the recipe for this calcium-rich and refreshing dessert has not been altered in its 2,000 years of existence. This is Tofu Fa. This is a dessert that holds a special place in my heart because as a kid, we only had these for special occasions. So let's learn how to cook it. Listed here are some of the items that will be helping us to make Tofu Fa today. Since I have a hungry family of 4, for this recipe we will be using 2 teaspoons of gypsum powder, about 2 liters of soy milk, and a half cup of cane sugar. Let's go measure out our ingredients. Perfect. Now that we have the ingredients, let's start the cooking process. First, empty your carton into a pot and give that a really nice stir. As it heats up, you should see little bits of foam forming around the top. At this point, you can add in your sugar and make sure you stir it around so that it dissolves completely. Once it boils, we can turn down the heat to about a medium. This will ensure that it continues simmering and not boiling. Now you might be wondering, why do we have to boil the soy milk and not just heat it up by putting it in the microwave? Well, the answer is simple. It's in the chemical compounds behind the soybean milk. Since the soybean carries trypsin inhibitors, if we don't boil and denature them, these trypsin inhibitors will block off the function of certain serine proteases such as trypsin, which is an essential digestive enzyme for breaking down proteins in the small intestine. Boiling fresh soy milk will also cause the grassy bean flavor, which is basically caused by polyunsaturated oils in these beans, to disappear. Going back to the soy milk, we want to simmer it for 10 minutes, and you may notice that there's a skin forming at the top. This is the soybean curd residue or scum, which is full of unwanted proteins and fats. Scoop it out, and doing this will give the Chinese delicacy its silky smooth texture. While the soy milk is simmering away, take our gypsum powder and combine it with 1/4 of a cup of cold water. Make sure you really stir it in to incorporate everything into a mixture. Gypsum, otherwise known as calcium sulfate, is a coagulant that is extremely important in providing us with tofu fa, since it will cause the soy milk liquid to turn into a pudding. So since the soy milk has been simmering for 10 minutes now, let's combine the gypsum with the soy milk in this large pot. Pour the gypsum powder into the large pot, and going back to our soy milk, you should see there's a lot of scum that's accumulated on top. We want to take all of it off, so scoop it out, eradicate it from the earth before you move on. Now we are all set to pour in the soy milk. Remember to pour from about 1 foot above the pot so that the momentum from the soy milk will crash into the gypsum water solution, creating an even mixture. Cover the pot with your kitchen towel and also the lid so that it keeps our mixture warm, while the cloth will catch the water droplets that condense on the lid. Now all we have to do is check back in an hour while we let it do its magic. While that's happening, let's talk a little bit about what's going on underneath the lid. As mentioned before, calcium sulfate, or gypsum powder, is used as a coagulant. Now the reason why we use gypsum powder and not other coagulants is because of the 2 major proteins in soy milk, glycinin and beta-conglycinin. These proteins coagulate when the positive metal ions such as calcium, as in calcium sulfate, form bridges with the negatively charged proteins. This cross-linking is due to the electrostatic interactions between the cations and the proteins. In addition, gypsum or calcium sulfate would not mask the taste of the soybeans. This will allow the flavor and fragrance of the bean shine in the dish. Since there are a lot of prized and premium beans grown in China since ancient times, this careful selection goes to show the amount of detail that our ancestors had put into this recipe in order to bring out the beans' fullest potential. So it's been about an hour, so let's take a look at what's inside. As you can see, the soy milk has settled into a jiggly mass of goodness. Let's go ahead and plate it up and see what it tastes like. To top off the dish, I will be plating it with a traditional Hong Kong style ginger syrup. I have already prepared it beforehand, but you can simply just make it by boiling sugar water with ginger slices until you have a thick consistency. Although you can find this dish pre-packaged in any of your local Chinese grocery stores, it is nothing compared to a homemade bowl of tofu fa.